Hey, hope you're well. Haven't blogged for a couple of weeks, and to be honest with you, I'm still not up to blogging as such, in the traditional sense at least. So I'm just going to do a video log this week, and only because I feel I have to this week. I'm still not in the right shape or frame of mind, should I say, for doing anything really. Right. As you're aware, my last vlog or blog talked about I went to ED, as they call it here, A&E in the UK, and I had a pain in my chest, and it sort of went from the middle of my chest and it radiated all the way round to my left side into my shoulder blade. And it was a Saturday, and I was at work, and I thought, Jesus Christ, I'm in pain. I need to go to hospital. So I walked. Yeah, I literally walked to hospital. I did get in trouble for that. Anyway, got in there. They rushed me through, and they were fantastic. I had blood tests. I had ECG. I had chest X-rays, etc. And they came back, and the consultant said to me, "Look, you haven't had a heart attack, and you haven't had one in the past. Something to do, is it tropin levels or something like that?" But she said that has not happened. But she said we have found a heart murmur, and she said you need to go to your doctor to get a follow-up appointment just to see if anything's going on. She said, look, 9 out of 10 times a heart murmur isn't a problem, but she said because of your age and we've only just found it, she said it may be an issue. So Mr. Panic, Mr. Anxiety, Google, all sorts of stuff came up. So I've been a bit of a mess, to be fair, and I'm still quite drained and haggard. Had a follow-up appointment with my GP, and he said, right, let's have a listen to your chest, which he did. And he said, okay, I can hear a murmur. And he said it was a grade 2 systolic ejection heart murmur. Obviously, I Googled that as well, and there were some good outcomes, some bad outcomes, and everything in between, really. And I just wish I didn't have health anxiety, because it really, really does drain you. And as soon as something else pops into your head, you think, well, I've got to talk about this as well, and it just spirals. You go down a rabbit hole and you cannot get out. He said, right, so you need to make an appointment for what was called an echocardiogram. And there's the, I think it's Perth, a cardiological, I think it was called that. Anyway, clinic just to the side of the GP surgery. And so I went in and I said, look, I'm going on holiday soon, and I really do need to get this echocardiogram done. Now, they could have bulk billed it. Now, bulk billing in Australia basically means you don't pay for it. But it would be too late. And I needed it done, or I need it done because I'm going abroad and my insurance would be null and void. So the option was they could get me in a few days if I paid privately, which is always the way. So I paid privately. Now, the cost of the Echo was $960. And luckily, I did get a Medicare rebate of $535. So I only paid about $425 for it. And I had to go to Joondalup, and I was in the hospital, I think it took 5 days, and I was there. Nervous. You wouldn't believe how nervous I was. I'm still nervous. And I didn't know what to expect. But basically, I went in. The two consultants were absolutely wonderful. They were lovely. I explained that I suffered with extreme anxiety, and they were exceedingly understanding. He explained the process, and he said, look, everything I'm doing, you can ask me questions as I go along, and which, don't say that to someone who suffers with health anxiety, because they're going to ask you everything. And I did. Now, My doctor also said he suspected it might be something called a bicuspid valve, and they occur, they are a genetic abnormality. So a valve usually has three prongs and it sort of allows the blood through, but with a bicuspid valve, there's just two. And he said what happens over time is a process called stenosis. It gets more and more difficult for the blood to flow through. And he said it tends to sort of happen later in life, my sort of age. And so that's what he suspected. So I immediately said to the people doing the echocardiogram, look, this is what my GP suspects. Let me know. So anyway, they're doing the echo, and it was quite painful at times because it's like an ultrasound. So they dig in the probe as such, quite, hard. And so, yeah, and I do get a bit of costochondritis as well. So my ribs hurt on occasion. That's another thing. I used to get that confused with heart pain. It's not, and I've kind of begun to recognise the differences. Anyway, so the funny thing was, you hear lots of heart sounds, and I have an aversion to heart sounds. I hate them. They make me cringe. Probably part of my health anxiety. And he said, look, I can tell you straight away you have not got a bicuspid valve. So that was a good thing. From the actual ultrasound or echo, he said, we're now going to do a stress test. So I had to go on a treadmill and run gradually. So went up in, I managed 3 steps, and they gradually increased it after 3 minutes. I was on step 3. I think I finished about 3, 6, 9, about 10.5 minutes. And I think I got to a maximum heart rate of about 160 something, which is about right for my age. But my God, it takes it out of you, and it's difficult. And he said, look, just do as much as you can. So I worked as hard as I could. And I'm not used to that level of intense exercise, to be honest. I do walk a lot, but I'm certainly not, on a treadmill for 10 minutes. And God, it was really, really hard. Stopped after, I said, look, you're going to have to stop it. I've had enough. And though we stopped it, 10.5 minutes, and he helped me down because I was dizzy as hell. I've never felt so dizzy. And then they had to rush me back over to the bed so they could do a second ultrasound, so you can see how, what the changes are in the heart, I guess. And he did his thing, and I was knackered, and I was still trying to breathe. And even when I stood up after they'd finished, I was still a bit dizzy. Whether that's or not that's usual, I don't know. I don't want to Google that because I don't want any more information. Anyway, he said to me, look, he couldn't actually detect a murmur. He said, I can detect leaky valves. He said, but what you got to understand is I need to evaluate all this data, and then they will come back with a prognosis afterwards, which I should get back next week, where I have another follow-up appointment. And I feel exhausted. I feel totally exhausted. I still don't know what it is, what's happening, why I get the chest pain. I just don't know, really. What I do know is I need a holiday, and I'm due to go on holiday soon. So I need to have a good prognosis, or at least a prognosis that allows me to go away. Who knows? I don't know. How do I feel at the moment? Well, I am tired. I think more than anything, I'm tired of the anxiety I suffer with. And when I see my doctor next week, I'm going to have to get that sorted, because I need to probably go on medication for that, at least to keep the physical symptoms at bay. Now, I have been on propranolol in the past for it. Caused havoc, made me dizzy as hell because it does lower your heart rate. and I think it was lowering mine way too much. So it was causing a lot of lightheadedness. So there might be something else they can do. I might be able to pay to get, some form of cognitive behavioural therapy, whatever, but it just needs to be sorted, because I've suffered with anxiety all my life, and for the most part it's fine. I do keep it at bay, but there are times, especially over health, that it really plays havoc with my system, and it does raise your cortisol levels, and it really, really does make you feel quite ill at times. So I need to sort that, and I need to do something about it, which I will do. Absolutely. I feel glad that that's over. I feel glad that that procedure is over. I just hope that's the end of it at the moment. I don't want any more follow-up appointments or treatments at this moment. I just want to say to them, look, as long as it's safe, I just need to go on holiday. That's all. If I don't have a heart murmur, I don't have a heart murmur. If they do find one, or they can find a slight murmur. They did say to me that a heart murmur itself is just a sound during the beating of the heart, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It can just be part of my heart. There might not be a reason for it, or there may be. I just don't know. So anyway, next week for that, and I will find out. Just wanted to say, my book is now out on sale, and it's under my real name, Darren. So Darren Light, Light, and so that's now for sale on Amazon, and that's called Echoes in the Hallway, and it's really a series of about, I think it's about 20 very short flash fiction stories about my childhood, and it's not controversial. It's not there's no great storylines with them. They're just very personal anecdotes, small stories that resonate with me and have stuck with me over the years, and it's something I wanted to get written down, and I wanted to get into book form. Not really to sell, it's really so I can sort of give it to family. I want my dad to have one, and people like that, because it's about me and my relationship with my mother and my father and my brother, and it's just about, a very nice time in my life. Childhood was great. I had a great childhood. So I put it down on paper. I've also used AI to create photos of the particular scenarios that I'm talking about. And what you have to understand is, at that time, we didn't have cameras or mobile phones with us. So I wanted kind of a pictorial record of those events. And you know what? AI is an amazing thing. It's actually created some great photographs, and they are so realistic. So basically, I used the storyline with AI, and I asked it to create these photos and through the stories, and amazing. They've come out really, really well, and I was quite shocked at how, if you use AI in the right way, it's a wonderful thing, and I'm amazed by it, in all honesty. So you can have a look at those as well. And I've sold quite a few copies already, so that's heartening. And I don't know who's buying it. I know where they're from, but I don't know who they are. A couple of people have put photos on social media saying they've received the book and all the rest of it, so that's good. And I'm now starting on a new one, which will be a little bit more action orientated as such. The other ones are about schoolboy memories, really, memories that are really, really important to me. The next one will be a bit more, it moves on through the decades. So the first one was the 70s and 80s, and the next one will be, it will be sort of the mid 80s to the year 2000. And that was a very different time for me. And the book itself will be a little bit more action filled, should we say. So I'm looking forward to writing that as well. We'll have started, but I'm looking forward to finally getting that in print eventually. So if I'm still around, if my heart hasn't given out, God forbid, I think I'm driving Daryl mad, to be honest. And because when I feel like this, I'm very apathetic, and I stay close to Daryl in a way I don't usually. I'm not that much of an affectionate person, but I tend to stay in the same room as him, whereas I'd have my own room, and when I'm feeling okay and I'll be doing my own thing, but I tend to probably annoy him a bit too much while he's trying to watch Netflix or Apple TV, really. But I become very insecure, I guess that's the word, and it's just the way I am, just my makeup. So anyway, thanks for listening as usual. I will get the results next week, so I will hopefully do a blog and let you know how it all goes. Anyway, hope you're all well. Thanks for your support. Don't forget the book, Echoes in the Hallway, for sale through Amazon, and by my real name, Darren Light. And I'll talk to you next week. All right, ciao for now.